This conference will now be recorded.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry, I must have been muted there. So my name's Lindsay Green. I'm the Secretary of the Police Service Board. So I'll call this first meeting of the year to order as we have to select the chair and vice chair for the year. So call to order at 9 o'clock. First item on the agenda is the elections. So the first motion here, be it resolved that the board appoint someone as chair of the Township of Southgate Police Service Board for 2021. So do I have someone who would like to move that and put a name in there?
You asked
John?
Alan? Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, I seen John's hand, but you can go ahead too, Alan.
Yep.
Okay, I'll move it. And
Sure.
what I would like or ask for would be Don Lewis for chair. When he filled in last time, he moves things along very well. And I would suggest for vice chair, Don Woodbury.
Okay. Dawn, do you have any issues with that? I seen your face there.
Well, I appreciate the confidence, but I hardly get enough time to do this. Thank you for my nominator, but I would respectfully decline, and I would nominate Jim Frew, and if that would be so be it.
Okay, so Alan is the mover. Are you okay with that, Alan?
With what? With him nominating Jim Frew? I'm not. No.
Yes. Okay. Oh, that moved it. So Alan, do you have someone else in mind then?
Don Woodbury.
John Woodbury as chair? John, do you have any issues with that?
Yeah, I've got so much on my plate right now that that's not going to work for me. I don't mind backing somebody up as vice, but I think Jim has got a lot of time and effort invested in this, and I would support him for it.
Okay. So Alan, it looks like it's just since Dale isn't on the call here, so it's between
I guess Jim it is.
yourself, since you moved it, it's looking like Jim.
Yep, okay.
Okay, do we have a seconder for Jim Frew as the chair?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, I will confirm that as approved. So now our chair, Jim Frew, can take over to do the election for the vice chair for 2021.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. Call for nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations, please?
I nominate Alan DeBreen.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Third and final time, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed.
Do we have a seconder for that one, Jim?
John has seconded that. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 9:04 and welcome to the new detachment commander and Debbie Anderson. Welcome to Southgate. And I'm Jim Frew, chair for this year. We also have Lindsay Green, who is a township clerk and also the secretary of the board, and Don Lewis, a former mayor, and John Woodbury, the present mayor, and Alan Caprino, member of the board. So
Well,
welcome to Southgate.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm sure that Paul Chambers would have liked to have been here to say goodbye, but he is on another video conference at the moment, so that's fine. We'll carry on this way, but thank you very much for that welcome.
You're more than welcome. Okay, confirmation of the agenda. Yeah, I have a mover and a seconder, please.
Alan DeBreen will move it.
Who would like to second that?
Don?
Thanks, Don. Be it resolved that the board confirm the agenda for the 19th. Declaration of community interest. There is none now. You can declare it any time during the course of the meeting. Adoption of the minutes.
Alan DeBreen will move it.
Second it. Don?
Second by Don. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, be it resolved that the board approve the minutes from I've lost this one here. Lost the page here, Lindsay.
From the November 17th, 2020 meeting.
Approve the minutes from November 17th, 2020, last year. Any discussion? Any comments on that? Hearing none, that is passed. Business arising. Any business arising from that meeting? Hearing none, we'll move on to the detachment commander's report. All yours.
Jim,
Thank you
can you
very much.
just get a mover and seconder before Deborah goes ahead, just to put it on the floor, please?
You prefer the moving ahead? Okay. Mover and seconder for the detachment commander's report.
I'll move it, John.
Second, Alan DeBreen.
Okay, we have our seconder, moving and seconder, and it's all yours,
Thanks, Deborah.
Secretary.
Thank you. I've been to many police service board meetings, and everyone seems to like to have the report presented in a certain way. Would you like me just to answer any questions that you might have with the report, or would you like me to just highlight certain areas, or how would you like to proceed?
Well, that's your decision,
Okay, then.
the way
Well,
you want to present it.
Okay. I just wanted to point out just a couple of things, particularly on the last page of the report, the number of ride hours that we've completed up to the end of 2020. So year to date, we've had 35 hours of conducting ride in Southgate, and December alone was 18 hours of ride. I'm just wondering, I don't think Southgate applied for any festive ride grants this year. Is that the case, or?
No, we did apply and we got the ride grant. That just come across my desk a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Let me just find
While you're looking, I'll just move on to the foot patrol hours. I do believe your board had requested more foot patrol hours in the Dundalk area. So you'll see year to date, we've had 80 hours, 80 and a quarter hours in foot patrol. And obviously with COVID and everything that entails, the foot patrol hours were less through the last quarter of last year. The arrests for impaired by drugs, 3 year to date, none in the last quarter. And COVID-19 related occurrence is probably a new category that we haven't had before, but 59 COVID-19 related occurrences. And that could be, for instance, we had a gentleman in Dundalk that decided to hold a get together within the guidelines set out by the health unit. But nonetheless, we did monitor that to make sure there was compliance. It could be a complaint that was called in by a citizen that we followed up on, those types of occurrences. But we have not laid any charges in relation to that. As far as the rest of the report goes, I'll leave it to any questions that you might have of me regarding the report, and I'll try to answer them as best I can.
And just to follow up on the ride, we do have the contract, and we got it for 2020 to 2022.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And I do believe I noticed from the last report that there was a citizen's complaint regarding speeding in the town of Dundalk. And I think that it recently went to a 40-kilometer/hour zone. And just so you're aware, I did assign what's called a focus patrol. I'm not sure if that's been explained to you, but we target particular areas where officers are required to attend and address the focus patrol. In this case, it happens to be speeding within the town of Dundalk. So they'll spend 2 weeks mandatory half-hour to an hour of speed control for the next 2 weeks. And at the end of that, we'll have results for you for any charges laid, how much time spent there, or any other notable incidents.
But I wonder if the speed control thing, we had the Black Cat out on Victoria Street. There was a complaint came in about speeding on Victoria Street. And it so happens that that complaint came in at the same time they were paving Main Street. So traffic was being diverted, and that was probably the reason for the high amount of traffic and the speed. So I don't suppose we're going to have the same problem again since Main Street's back open.
That could be. Thank you.
And I'll just add, at our last meeting in November, Nigel, he said he'd provide the data, which he did, and it's on under correspondence on this agenda for everybody. So that was from the radar data on Victoria Street, which was good of Nigel to get. Are there any other questions?
Did we respond to that letter or that note there they were asking about that? Or is there action required there other than just information?
Are you talking about the correspondence? that was
Yeah.
added?
Yeah, regarding, it's all regarding the speed limit. I just wonder if it's all talking together here, or do we deal with that later?
Yeah, we'll deal with that once we get down to correspondence.
Yep.
If anything else, Deborah?
No, I just waiting to see if you had any questions on the report. I'd be happy to try and answer them.
The question that I have, the traffic incident on, which road was it now? 49. Jeep was parked in the ditch. I called that into the police and they sent a cruiser out. Was there any charges laid on that?
I could certainly look up that report. Do you have the date that you called it in? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
2 weeks ago, the driver had obviously got out of the vehicle and walked away, leaving it in the ditch. You could see the footprints in the snow.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up on our reporting system there to see what the results were. I could certainly look that up and report back to you. And what was the street that it was on?
Fine.
Okay. Would you like me just to send you an email with that response, or would you like me to report back next week?
Next meeting, do fine.
Good enough, thank you.
The detachment commanders would normally go through the whole report, reading off various items. And as we went through that, any questions that, or anything that always come up, we would ask a question on it. Each detachment commander has a different method of going through this. And I know that you're new to Southgate, but there's so many systems going because we've had so many detachment commanders, so we'll leave it up to you how you do it.
Well, I can do it whichever way you like. If we want to go through the report, there seems to be two reports that I have. One sort of a narrative and the other is statistical. And I've seen other styles of reports that you might find a little more easy to read. And we're looking into changing our police services board reports too, so that it is much easier to read. But we can go through the statistical report if you like. The first page is goes through violent crime, property crime, and drug crime. And you can see that I think the one thing that I highlighted here is the assaults are up slightly from 2019 at the same time period, 17 in 2019 to 23 in 2020. It's not a huge increase, but if you turn to the last page, clearance rate, total violent property and drug is down overall, so that's a good sign. The other parts of the report just goes through the types of calls for service that we had. If anybody had any questions on that. Just looking through for some highlighted areas. if you notice the property crime, the theft over is up from 11 in 2019 to 24. And that's quite a bit of increase there. And that's something that we can take a look at with our street crime unit to address the assaults and the thefts over have increased, and we do believe that it may have something to do with the current situation with COVID. The drug crime, it's up 50%, but we had 2 occurrences in 2019 and 3 in 2020. So overall, I don't think it's a particular issue. And those are all the things that I had highlighted with respect to your report, unless you have any questions, Mr. Chair.
There is one thing that I noticed in here is the number of vehicle thefts. When there's a vehicle theft, is it noted whether or not the vehicle was locked or the keys were left in it?
It would in the actual report. It would note if there, if it had a half tank of gas, full tank of gas, if the ownership was left in it, if the keys were in it, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, oftentimes in rural areas, the owners do leave the keys in the vehicles, as much as we request that they don't, or during the winter months, they'll leave the vehicle running, warming it up, and sometimes some people will look for that and take advantage of that. But I'd have to go into each individual report to see if that was the case.
I'm just wondering whether or not if there's an abundance of vehicles being stolen with the ignition key still in it, whether or not it'd be advisable to have a bylaw passed to ticket them when they leave their vehicle running. It happens all too often, that's the problem. The theft from vehicles is normally quite high.
Was there any other questions?
There's only the 2 things, but perhaps members have got some questions they might like to ask. Any questions from the board? Well, hearing none, we have the mover and the seconder. You resolved it. If there's any other further discussion or comment, let's get it through now. If not, you resolved the detachment commander's report be received for information. So we can move on to correspondence. We've got correspondence here, haven't we, Lindsay?
Yeah, Jim, there's the 2. One was a complaint that we had received regarding speeding in Dundalk. I think as a whole, he didn't really specify it to a street or anything. And then the other piece is just the speed radar data from Victoria Street that the board requested last meeting. So they've sent that to me. So those are the 2 pieces here, and we just have a motion to receive them as information. We need a motion.
I looked through those charts and I couldn't understand them at all. So there's really no point in sending the charts if we can't read them.
So just a mover and seconder to put the correspondence forward, Jim?
So moved. Don?
My iPad has just shut down.
I'll second it.
Any other further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll pass on to the next matter. New and unfinished business.
Sorry, Alan DeBreen here. I have a question regarding those charts and the speeding information.
Right ahead.
I mean, there's a lot of information on the frequency, dates, times. What I'm really interested to know is what was basically the average speed and what was the top speed, and that appears to all be missing.
That may be the type of instrument that they were using for the test. I certainly couldn't understand it at all. I wasn't too happy with it.
Yeah, that's pertinent information as far as I'm concerned, to basically know what the speeds were, not just that it was over 45 kilometers an hour.
Well, that's what we asked for.
So what I'm saying, it'd be nice to know, did some of them, were they driving at 50, 60? Did somebody go through at 70? Information of that nature.
Deborah, is there a way to change how that information is shown, or is that the only way to do it?
We can't change the way the information's shown. That's just the way the report is released. But we could take a look at it. So for instance, what we would take from that is the times of days during the week that the speeds are the worst. And from that, we can target during those time periods and set up a focus patrol for that. It usually just gives a percentage of how many vehicles went over the posted speed limit. And yeah, we don't necessarily get the specifics. The purpose of it is, and usually townships use it, so if they have a speeding complaint, and sometimes it's somebody's perception and it's not actually the case. So the first thing we do is we set up a speed spy sign or speed spy device that will record that information. And from that information, we can determine whether or not it is that person's perception or whether there is actually a speeding problem in that area. And from that information, we can narrow it down, because we can't be there 24/7. So we can narrow it down to a time frame where it's the worst. And most oftentimes you'll find it's in the morning commute and then the evening commute home. So we can set it up, and then we set up a focus patrol, and then we have the patrols actually target those time periods to get the most effect.
So the Black Cat has really done its job. It's identified the times and the areas, and that's when you put the patrols on.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this matter? Do we have any matters to address here? Lindsay, this iPad is shut down again. Working blind.
Sorry, you're cutting out there, Jim.
The iPad has shut down again. I don't know what the dickens is wrong with it.
Okay, we can look
So
at
I've
it.
got no agenda to work from.
So we're on new or unfinished business. Was there anything from anyone?
I didn't hear anything from anyone.
So then next would be members' privilege. Anything from anyone?
Mr. Chair, Don here. My wife's always on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, and then there seems to be a rash of people stealing license plates and pickup trucks. And is that like, I'm just not sure why that suddenly seems to be upon us, particularly in the southern area of Southgate. I don't think it's all of Southgate from what I can figure out. Seems to be an awful lot more coming from the Mount Forest area there. And that, are you seeing any change, or have you been successful in apprehending anybody?
Yes, so we did have a rash of stolen vehicles. They were stealing vehicles from our area, taking it to a different jurisdiction and vice versa. And our street crime unit quickly identified some people that may be responsible, and they did in fact arrest an individual for the vehicle thefts, and there should be a reduction very soon. Often when they do steal a vehicle, they'll also steal plates to change the vehicle plate, make it less noticeable to police. So they sort of go hand in hand. But somebody was arrested just last week, as a matter of fact, and so we should see a reduction.
Thank you.
I have something that I'd like to talk about, and that's the joint ticket book. You're going to be involved in this matter before too long, Deborah. We did have a meeting to discuss some of the important points on that. We've been trying for a considerable time to get this joint ticket book put in place. And the sergeant had a meeting going, and everyone is willing to move ahead with this to get the common ticket book. And Georgian Bluffs, was the group that was going to lead in getting the ticket book and all the information, and for whatever reason, that just died on the vine. Martin Murray had it going, and then he put a hold on it because Chatsworth was negotiating a deal with West Grey. They were going to combine. Then that fell through. So it was back on track again, and we finally had some movement on it. And I didn't get any minutes of that meeting, and we haven't heard from Nigel as to when the final settlement will be made. But it's on the books again, so that's a good thing. And at that time, when the parking bylaw is set out, we could probably handle matters such as Don was explaining, vehicles being removed. If it's because of if keys are left in an ignition, then we can put something into the parking bylaw that would handle that matter with a stiff enough fine that would make them think twice about jumping into a car just because the keys are in it.
Well, I certainly, Nigel has kept me updated on the joint ticket book. I can tell you, coming from Wellington County, where they do in fact have joint ticket books for bylaws, it does make it much easier for officers to enforce, and it makes things a lot quicker. So I'm glad that's moving forward.
Well, it seems reasonable that rather than having a ticket book for each municipality, to have just one where you can check out the municipality. And it's also beneficial to the township itself, because the bylaw enforcement officer will use the same book for laying charges. Well, if
Yes,
there's nothing else, pardon?
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say you're absolutely right. If you can imagine, we have enough equipment that we take out on the road with us, and to have 7 ticket books would be overwhelming. So I'm glad that's moving forward.
Exactly. Okay, if anything more on the member's privilege, we'll hear it now. If not,
Alan DeBreen.
we'll, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I had the opportunity and I enjoyed it actually, listening to the Police Services Board training on Thursday. The secret word was parachute. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
You may hear more about that before too long.
Please do.
Okay,
So next on the agenda, Jim, it was the confirmation of the next meeting, which is Tuesday, March 16th at 9 a.m., which will be electronic again, I presume, unless things drastically change, which I really doubt.
We're just getting used to this.
I'll never get used to it.
No.
These electronic devices are just beyond me. The one thing that I think we missed was on the correspondence. Wasn't there something come in about traffic? Did we cover all of that?
Yeah, we discussed it. We mainly spoke about the speed radar data, but there was another complaint on there just about speeding in general. But as Deborah said, she set up those, I forget what she called them, 2-week hot spots maybe or something like that, but
Focus
Very
patrols.
good. Very
focus
good.
patrol. So I think it's covered off, but we can discuss more if we'd like, I guess.
Okay, well, if that's covered off, we have completed the agenda, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I so move. I assume we confirmed the meeting on the 16th of March. That's a go, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
We have a mover to adjourn.
Yeah, thank,
John's
Don
nodding
moved.
his head there.
Don moved it.
Thank
and I'll
you,
second.
John. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye-bye.